There is someone in your life who gets what they want from you, and you have never been able to explain how. They do not shout. They do not threaten. You leave having agreed to something, and by the time you are in the car, you cannot reconstruct the moment you decided, because you did not decide. You were moved, and nothing in it looks like an attack. It looks like a normal conversation you happen to lose. You are not being overpowered. You are being operated. Every manipulation tactic that exists requires one thing from you, a specific input supplied by you, without which the tactic does nothing at all. 7 rules. Each one removes an input, and the 6th is the one that ends it permanently, because it removes the thing all 6 of the others were standing on. There is someone in your life who gets what they want from you, and you have never been able to explain how. They do not shout. They do not threaten. You leave having agreed to something, and by the time you are in the car, you cannot reconstruct the moment you decided, because you did not decide. You were moved, and nothing in it looks like an attack. It looks like a normal conversation you happen to lose. You are not being overpowered. You are being operated. Every manipulation tactic that exists requires one thing from you, a specific input supplied by you, without which the tactic does nothing at all. 7 rules. Each one removes an input, and the 6th is the one that ends it permanently, because it removes the thing all 6 of the others were standing on. Rule 1. Notice the pace of the conversations you lose. There is always a clock in them. I need to know now. Everyone else has confirmed. This is only available today. That pressure is the whole tactic. A decision made at speed is made by whoever set the speed, because urgency removes the one thing that produces good decisions, a gap between the request and the answer. Seneca wrote that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. It is the remedy for far more than anger. Delay is what separates your judgment from another man's timeline. Urgency is not information about the situation. It is information about what they need from you. So you install one sentence, and you never vary it. I'll come back to you on this. Not a refusal, not an explanation, just the removal of their timeline from your decision. And watch what happens next, because it is the most useful diagnostic in this entire video. A reasonable person accepts it. A person applying pressure escalates immediately. And in escalating, they show you exactly what was happening. Take away urgency, and most tactics stall. So they switch to the next lever, and it is the one you were raised to respond to. Rule 2. You feel guilty, and you have always treated that feeling as evidence that you did something wrong. It is not evidence. Guilt is a sensation, and sensations can be produced in you on purpose, through a tone, a silence, a reminder of something they did 2 years ago. Epictetus built everything on one distinction. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions they form about them. Between their tone and your guilt, a judgment gets inserted, and that judgment is yours, which means it can be examined instead of obeyed. Guilt tells you something was produced in you. It does not tell you it was earned. So you separate them, with one question asked before you act. What specifically did I do wrong here? A fact, not a feeling. If you can name the act, apologize cleanly and fix it. If you cannot, then nothing was done wrong, and what you are feeling is a lever. Most men never ask it. They go from feeling guilty to conceding, and the whole distance takes 4 seconds. But guilt only works on a man who trusts their account of events more than his own. Rule 3. Here is the most disorienting thing a person can do to you, and it does not require them to lie outright. They restate what happened, slightly differently, with total confidence. And because they are certain and you are not, you adjust. Do that enough times and something breaks. You stop trusting your own account of your own life, and at that point you require them to tell you what is true. The removal is unglamorous and it works. Write it down. Not a diary, a record. Date, what was said, what was agreed. 3 lines at the time before it can be revised. You cannot be talked out of something you wrote down on Tuesday. This is not paranoia, and you never have to show it to anyone. Its purpose is that you stop arriving at conversations with a memory that can be edited. A man with a record cannot be told what he thinks. So the next lever skips your memory entirely and goes for your need to be understood. Quick one. If you have ever left a conversation having agreed to something and could not reconstruct the moment you agreed, type "moved" in the comments, just so you can see how many men know this feeling. Rule 4. The longest arguments of your life have not been about facts. They have been you attempting to make someone understand your position, under the assumption that understanding would end the conflict. It will not. Some people are not failing to understand you. They are declining to, because a man who is still explaining has not yet been refused. The explaining itself is the concession. Epictetus told his students not to explain their philosophy, but to embody it. Same principle, and it applies to every boundary you have ever tried to argue somebody into accepting. An explanation is a request for permission. A position does not need one. So you say it once, plainly, and stop. When they ask again, and they will, because a repeated question is a test for a crack, you repeat the same sentence in the same tone. New material is the crack. Give none, and the test ends inside 2 attempts. But you will find you cannot hold that silence. And the reason is Rule 5. Rule 5. Every tactic in this video ultimately runs on one thing: your discomfort at being disapproved of. That is the socket everything else plugs into. Urgency works because refusing feels rude. Guilt works because you would rather concede than be thought selfish. The silence works because you cannot tolerate someone being displeased with you for a day. Seneca watched Roman politics destroy men over exactly this, and wrote that no man is free who cannot command himself. Not command others, himself. A man who requires approval has handed the controls to whoever is willing to withhold it. They do not need power over you. They only need your discomfort at being disliked. So you practice it in small doses, deliberately this week. Decline one invitation with no reason attached. Let one mild disapproval sit for a full day without repairing it. Send one message that ends without softening. Each one is uncomfortable for about 90 seconds. What you are building is a tolerance, and a man with that tolerance cannot be steered because the lever no longer connects to anything. Now the rule that ends this permanently, because it removes what all 5 of the others were standing on. Rule 6. Think about the person you cannot say no to, and go back further than the current conversation. There is almost always something underneath it, something they did for you. A loan, a job, a period when they were there and nobody else was, and you have been paying it back ever since, in decisions, without either of you naming the arrangement. This is the most powerful lever there is, because it does not feel like manipulation. It feels like loyalty. And a debt that is never stated can never be settled, which is what makes it useful to someone who wants indefinite access to your judgment. A favor you cannot repay is not a kindness. It is an open account, and they decide the interest. So here is the removal, and it takes about 20 minutes on paper. Write down what they actually did. The specific act, once with a date. Then write what it has cost you since. The decisions, the times you did not object, the plans you rearranged. Look at both columns. In almost every case, the debt was repaid years ago, several times over, and what has been continuing since is not gratitude. It is an arrangement you never agreed to. Then you close it, privately. You do not announce it, and you do not confront them with the ledger. You simply stop treating the account as open, and you make the next decision on its own merits rather than against the balance. And expect what happens next, because it is predictable. The reminder. The reference to what they once did for you dropped into an unrelated conversation. That is the account being reopened, and now you can see it happening rather than simply feeling it. One rule left, and it is not a technique. Rule 7. Look back at the 6. Urgency needed your speed. Guilt needed you to treat a feeling as evidence. Their version needed your memory to be uncertain. The arguments needed you to want understanding. The silence needed you to fear disapproval. The debt needed you to never count it. Every one of them required something from you. Not one of them worked on its own. Which means you were never protecting yourself from a person. You were removing the inputs. And that is the only defense that generalizes, because it works on the next one too. Epictetus was owned by another man and said the thing that survived him: some things are up to us, others are not. Your judgment is yours. Your speed is yours. What you treat as evidence is yours. All of it was always on your side of the line. A man who has taken those back does not become confrontational. He becomes uninteresting. And that is the actual outcome, not victory. You simply stop being a viable target, and people who operate on others move quietly to someone easier. Your challenge is 1 rule, not 7. Rule 1, for 7 days. Every request that arrives gets the same sentence. I'll come back to you on this. Every single one, including the easy ones. Especially the easy ones, because that is where the reflex lives. Then come back and comment. Came back, and how many people escalated when you said it. That number is the diagnostic, and it is usually smaller than you fear and more revealing than you expect. And every rule here assumes you can sit with someone's disapproval for a day without repairing it. Most men genuinely cannot. That video is on your screen now. 5 Stoic reasons being alone makes you unstoppable. I'll see you there.